She calls me daddy, I don't even know her mama. Gucci, Louis, Fendi, Prada. No strings attached like Balenciaga. What's going on, man? This is Red Pill Mystic. And tonight's video, this morning's video, is let go of the mask, right? Let go of your ego. Understand that your ego doesn't exist. Your self-image doesn't exist. Almost every man out there, I would say a good 97, 98% of men, when they're young especially. Now, when they get older, some of them mature, and that's why you see that older men are, some older men are more humble, and they're just living life and experiencing life and letting life flow through them. They're not grasping at anything. They're not chasing anything. They don't have any wild ambitions, or egotistical, driven dreams, because they realize at the end of the day, none of that exists. Now, the ego is created largely due to this modern culture, this modern society we live in, that you turn on the TV, it tells you chase, chase, chase. Every commercial is buy this, buy that, chase this, buy this so you can attract the woman you want. Buy this junk food because it's tasty, it'll make you happy. Buy these shoes, buy these cars, buy this alcohol. Running away, right? See, most people, they know that they're flawed inside. They know they have traumas they've experienced, things they're running away from. And they use the ego as a tool to run, right? They say, I'll use myself as an example. Like my dad left when I was a kid, and I was very bitter, and I felt very naked, because of that, right? Very, very robbed, very ripped off, very, felt like I'm not good enough, right? So I told myself, okay, well, if I'm not worth being loved by, my father, well, fuck it. I'll just get rich and become powerful, and I'll fill that void with material wealth and status. And none of that works because none of that exists. There is no such thing as material wealth in nature. See, all of your egotistical desires, not only is the ego not you, it's an image that can be destroyed, but the things you want, they don't really exist. They're man-made. You know what I'm saying? That sports car you want, those Gucci, Louis Vuitton, whatever, Prada shoes, that didn't exist when you were a caveman. All you had was berries and herbs and fruits and vegetables, and you had your tribe, you had your people. There was no need to develop an ego because you had a tribe that loved you and was with you from birth until death, assuming they didn't get killed by another tribe. So all of this ego, we watch an anime show, we watch Dragon Ball Z, we watch The Sopranos, we watch, I don't know, whatever TV show you watch, whatever movie you watch, you want to be like Tony Montana, you want to be like Tony Soprano, or you might want to be like Michael Jordan, or you might want to be like, Lil Wayne or someone, because your life, you've been robbed of a lot. We've all been robbed of a lot. Just growing up in a modern society, you've been ripped off. Like on a nature level, right? You have been ripped off. You grew up in an unnatural environment, even if you had both parents. So we're trying to fill that void with this material stuff. We created the mask that is the ego, and we wear it thinking it's who we are. But we're scared deep down because we know it can be destroyed. If you're a bodybuilder, right, and your image and your ego is tied up with your muscles, right, and you attract women based on that, right, deep down you can lose those muscles one day. Someone can shoot you in your spine, and then you're in a wheelchair, and now you're not lifting weights anymore, and you're skinny, and all of those things that your ego attracted are going to disappear. So, not only is it possible to attract what you want in life without an ego, you got to understand that this ego, this mask, it's like holding sand in your hands, right? No matter how tightly you hold on to it, it's slowly going to slip through your fingers, and there's going to be nothing left. You have to dissolve your ego. When you have thoughts of, who am I, and this is what I stand for, and things that you do things that don't line up with your ego, you can tell yourself, I'm an INTJ personality type, right? And if you believe in the Myers-Briggs personality, which it's speculation, it's man-made, so nothing man creates can ever understand nature. Nothing man creates on a psychological level can ever truly dissect nature. Nature is leaps and bounds more complex and intelligent than we can ever be. And man will never figure it out, but he'll drive himself crazy till the end of time trying to figure it out. So he'll create astrology, he'll create Myers-Briggs types. So let's pretend you're the INTJ personality type, which is introversion, intuition, thinking, and judging, right? A very disciplined, introverted, sort of like Walter White from Breaking Bad. You tell yourself, okay, I took the test, I'm an INTJ, and you have those letters carved into your brain. You say, okay, INTJ. Everything I do is going to align with this INTJ personality. Now, you go out there, and most of what you do is INTJ, right? Because you're really forcing yourself to live that. Now, you do something that isn't INTJ. Maybe someone tells you a joke and you laugh, or you decide you do something extroverted, and you're like, wow, I don't understand. I did something that doesn't align with my personality type. I did something that doesn't align with who I think I am. What the hell's going on? And then you start punishing yourself for it because your ego is like, you just forced yourself to look in the mirror for a quick second, and it was painful, and you don't want to keep doing it. So you snap back into that, okay, no, I'm just going to do things that align with my personality. That never happened. That was just a fluke, right? But it wasn't a fluke. It was nature telling you that you don't have a personality. You don't have a self-image. See, not knowing yourself, just living, just letting things flow through you, not grabbing onto any sort of self-identity or pride or ego or image, that's freedom. That's living in the moment. Anytime you're identifying with your ego and chasing egotistical ambitions, you're not living in the moment anymore. You're living in tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes. So, anytime, and all of your egotistical ambitions, they're going to lead to emptiness and suffering and never-ending chasing, because the things that the ego wants, the things that the ego chases, are all man-made. They're not natural, right? They're ideologies, they're physical objects that go against nature. They're not needed, right? So, what you have to do is every time you catch yourself trying to identify with something, or having an egotistical thought, or thinking you need something external to finally fill your emptiness or make you feel complete, you have to let go. You have to let it dissolve, right? And you have to just be empty, right? And let it flow through you. Don't resist the ego. Don't chase the ego. Don't grab. Just let go of it. Understand that you're never going to know yourself, and be content with not knowing yourself, and be content with being empty, and let life flow through you, but don't try to grab onto anything. It's like trying to grab onto sand, right? All the ego is grabbing and chasing, and every time something happens to you that doesn't align with your egotistical belief of yourself, it creates suffering, it creates pain inside. You literally have to just let go. You have to be like a paper bag flowing in the wind. Now, you can go out and achieve everything you want to do. If you're passionate, if you enjoy doing a certain thing, you can do it and enjoy it, and of course go out and accomplish things. But you don't want to have an egotistical hardcore self-image attached to what you do. If you're a doctor because you just enjoy being a doctor, you enjoy helping people, you understand the science, it's something you're just passionate about, you do it because you enjoy it, but you don't have an egotistical image tied to it where it's like, I'm the man because I'm the doctor, right? And if I lose this right to practice medicine, it's like my life is over. A lot of people lose their minds when they lose their job or lose a possession or lose their woman or their man or whatever because they had an egotistical attachment to this person or this thing. So not only did you lose that, you lost your self-image at the same time. You lost your identity at the same time, right? But when you don't have an identity, when you just flow, when you're just free, you live in the moment and you live in bliss. And you don't feel like you're wearing a mask, right? So that's really just the moral of this video. You have to be... I'm not going to say you have to be careful, because it's not something you actively have to try to protect yourself from. Because that's almost like a form of putting on a mask itself. It's just letting go. It's just... when you have a thought that says, I wonder if I had this car, would I be complete? Or I wonder if I be like this guy, maybe I'll start to get this, or I'll feel like that, or it'll take away this pain or this. You have to just stop and let go. It's not about thinking too hard. It's not about trying to grab something. It's not about resisting. It's about letting go and just letting it flow through you. And it'll those egotistical thoughts, they will enter you and then they will exit the same way you inhale and exhale. Right? When you inhale and exhale, you're not resisting anything. You're not grabbing onto anything. It just flows in and then it flows out. And that's the same thing with your egotistical thoughts. And that's how you dissolve them every time you have them. So you're not holding on to things and chasing. And just watching your life slip through your fingertips while you're out there chasing things that are never going to... not only do some of them not even exist, but the ones that do are not going to fill the things you, the emptiness from things that you missed out on, And being empty is actually very natural. When I say empty, I'm not talking about depression. I'm talking about having a clear mind, not thinking, letting things flow through you, and just being in the moment and just being in a blissful state, right? See, bliss and pleasure are two very different things. The ego will always make you chase pleasure, but pleasure is fleeting. Pleasure is having sex. Pleasure is eating a cheeseburger. Pleasure is smoking a joint. But that's not a permanent state of being. That's something that's always fleeting, that you always have to do more and more of just to get back to that state, but that's not natural. See, in nature, you weren't meant to chase pleasure. In nature, you were meant to just be still and enjoy bliss and let bliss flow through you. And when pleasure comes, you enjoy pleasure, but that doesn't become the driving factor. That doesn't become what you chase, permanently. But in this modern society, everything you see on TV, every advertisement, everyone for the most part has been brainwashed to chase pleasure, right? And it's a never-ending cycle. It's like chasing a drug, it's like being a heroin addict or something, always chasing the next high. Chasing isn't living, and you're going to look back and say, oh my God, I spent my whole life chasing, and it never amounts to anything, because it's not really what, the spirit wants, So just remember that bliss is greater than pleasure, and you don't want to wear that ego mask. You want to be free, you want to be empty, you want to just let life flow through you, and you just want to be in a blissful state, and that's really that.